Imagine life's challenges as a storm, a force that can either wash us away or spark the change we need. Here, we're the spark that ignites that storm, the fire that fuels it, and the guiding light through it. So, lean in, open your mind, and we'll realize that we are not at the mercy of the storm, but we are the storm.
Welcome back to We Are the Storm podcast. This episode is about comparison, and it is built to disarm shame, to honor growth, and to ignite truth. Because we don't always envy from a place of weakness. Sometimes we envy from this place of disconnection. When we see someone else's beauty and think that in somehow it takes away from our own, but it doesn't, and it never did. Before we dive in, we're going to have a quick word from our sponsors. I used to think something was wrong with me. The stress, the anxiety, the trauma, it felt like a flaw until I learned the truth. I wasn't broken. I was disconnected from my body, my breath, my power. The second I reconnected, everything changed. That's what they do at Reconnect Mind Body. Not fix you, because you don't need fixing. They help you remember who you are. You are the storm. Start reconnecting today at thereconnectlife.com. You used to move like an athlete. Now, even getting out of bed feels like a battle. What happened? Pain isn't just aging, it's a signal, and ignoring it won't make it go away. At Active Family Chiropractic, we help warriors like you rebuild, recharge, and return to the strength you were made for. Your body already knows how to heal. Let's unlock it. The fight isn't over. Step up. Call Active Family Chiropractic at 602-712-9444 right now.
So as we dive into comparison, right? I think we've had so many conversations about comparison, the trap, the thief, all these negative things that, we call it.
Yeah.
I think you shared a parable with me a while back, and I'd love for you to repeat that for our listeners, because I think it's so, so powerful.
Yeah, I brought it with me because it's so impactful, and it really spoke to different parts of me at different times in my life. So I'm going to share it with you guys, and we'll talk about it. So it is called the cracked pot parable. There was once two pots that hung on a yoke, carried by a water bearer, one flawless, the other cracked. Each day the water bearer walked the path to the master's house, filling the pots at the river and returning with them full. At least, almost. The perfect pot held its water proudly. The cracked pot, though, leaked along the journey. It saw its weakness and carried its shame. But what no one knew was this. The perfect pot had its own sorrow. It saw the attention the cracked pot received, the way the bearer gently adjusted it on the yoke, the way flowers bloomed on its side of the trail. And quietly the perfect pot whispered, "Why do I have to be so strong all the time?" One day, both pots finally spoke. The cracked pot said, "I'm sorry I can't do what you do. You always arrive full. I feel like a burden." The perfect pot replied, "You think I'm proud? I've been jealous of the beauty you leave behind." The water bearer, overhearing, finally said, "You're both comparing what you see to what the other feels. One of you thinks you're not enough. The other wonders if anyone sees them at all. But you're both needed. One offers strength, one leaves beauty, and both pour life into the world." And from that day forward, neither pot wished to trade places.
This is so powerful.
I know, I get goosebumps.
It's so powerful. We're recognizing that we so often compare what we see to what other people feel.
Yeah.
And we have no insight into what people are feeling. And our mind reading abilities are unfortunately very limited.
They're terrible.
And the first thing that really comes to my mind, just in the kind of the world that we live in right now, is Instagram. It's Facebook for us, older folk.
Yes.
TikTok, all the things that we see, therefore compare. And, I try to tell and remind myself, but, tell my kids and remind friends that we often compare to the reality of what we live and the hard things that we do day to day, the things that we struggle with, our insecurities. We compare those things to the highlight reel of other people choose to show.
Yep.
And the filters that they put on what they choose to show.
Yeah.
And so it gives us a really distorted lens. Yeah, about what we're looking at. So take me through kind of what really spoke to you about that parable of the pots, about, you know, the beauty that you leave behind versus showing up, you're always full, you're without flaw. Like,
yeah, I want to speak to what you said, actually. So funny enough, I wrote this quote down when I was preparing for this episode. Don't compare your behind the scenes to someone else's highlight reel. And it's Stephen Furtick. And that's basically exactly what you said, because the front that we put on for everyone are the best moments of our lives, the things that we're proudest of. But I can't compare my storm to your rainbows.
Yeah.
Because they're two different things.
Right.
And I feel, as far as the parable goes, those spoke to two different parts of me at two different times of my life. There are times when I felt I had to be so strong, and no one saw it. No one saw it. And I just thought, I can't carry it anymore. I can't do this anymore. I'm not being seen or supported or whatever it may be. And then on the other side, I have felt broken, like I wasn't enough or good enough to be a mom, to be at my job, to be a wife, to show up for friendships, all of these things, you know? And it's just a realization that no matter where you are, no matter how long you're there, that you are valid, you are seen, you are enough, you are worthy, and we all go through those different points in our life. We've all been the cracked bucket, and we've all been the full bucket. And I think there's acknowledgement and gratitude, and as you said, it's a lens that we see, and we can choose whether or not that comparison lens, which, you know, as we'll talk about, I hope is automatic, right? We've been trying to have it talked out of, but it's there.
Yeah.
But I think the choice is what we do with it, right? And we had talked earlier, but I want you to speak on that automatic part of comparison, you know, with culture trying to tell us not to compare, with us telling us, our kids, don't compare.
Yeah.
And what that means and how we go about that.
Right. And absolutely. And I think for a really long time, I was certainly told this growing up, like, comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that, but it's what we do with the comparison and what we notice. And maybe it's better to talk about noticing and appreciating versus comparing.
Yeah.
I think comparing can automatically turn really negative. Again, when we don't really recognize what we're comparing, is it apples to apples? Or are we doing the apples to oranges business where we don't, you know, recognize that, you know, what people are showing us is what they're choosing to put forward into the world.
Yeah.
And nobody highlights, or I say very few people highlight their flaws.
True.
But that automatic nature, we do that as a species. We do that to survive. We make judgments, snap judgments all the time. We classify people, we classify circumstances. It's how we're wired.
Yeah.
But what do we do with that classification?
Yeah.
And being able to notice our thought process around, you know, is like social. Let's just talk about the social aspect for a second. You know, as a working mother, right? We're mothers, we're daughters, we're sisters, we're best friends, we're partners, we're wives. This goes for everybody, but we're just speaking from this lens right now. There are days when it's so overwhelming, and when I don't show up in a way that I'm proud to present to clients, when I'm not proud to present this version of myself to my boys, right?
Yeah.
There's some days when I'm like, oh, I wish that they would just forget that day ever happened, when they look back and on me as a mom. And then I wish that they don't.
Yeah.
And then I want them to remember what it's like to show up in a way less than meeting the bar, right? Way less than what the expectation is. And recognize it's okay to be human, and it's okay to apologize. It's okay to feel, you know, like you're not measuring up, and you keep going. Like through that comparison, that's a really powerful, it's like a lens shift.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we choosing to put on the microscope that we're looking through, right? Because we put a microscope on, we put everybody underneath a microscope.
Yes.
Including ourselves more than anything, really. What is like that? That's that lens that we're putting on there.
Yeah, it's what our choice is. Because you're right, it is automatic. It's absolutely automatic. And I think what we do with that is, one, acknowledge that it's automatic. Hey, I'm not going to try and force it or fight it or try and not make my brain this way, because it is. Mm-hmm. But what we do after it, and I think it goes back to that conversation that we had about, and also, right? We can see someone who is beautiful and say, and also, so am I.
Yep.
And we can say, that person is strong, and also, so am I. And so comparison becomes recognition, not rejection, because your beauty doesn't take away from mine. Mm-hmm. You can be beautiful, and so can I. Mm-hmm. And I think the second thing, I didn't tell you this, and you don't know this, but there are many times when I have automatically compared myself to you. I'll have a conversation with you, and you are so grounded and so strong and so present. And in my mind, I'm like, man, I could never be all those things. And then I realize, man, I'm just grateful that I get to have those in my life, because the things that I'm not automatically good at or don't come easy for me, as a friend, you're able to be those things for me when I can't. So it's this positive comparison. It's this gratitude that I can still have it in my life, and I can soak it in when I need it, and I feel like I'm floating away, right? I can hold on to your grounding and make it my own for the moment. And I think those are the beautiful things that comparison can actually do, the positive things. I don't think comparison is always bad. I think we walk around and we see women and we are like, man, I want to be her when I grow up. And I don't think that's bad. I think that shows us that we can do things, that we can conquer things, that people have blazed this trail before, and that means I can blaze my own trail, that we can have hope and motivation and recognition from these comparisons, rather than feeling as though I am less than or it's a rejection.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super powerful. And that acknowledgement gives way to this level of confidence that is grounded in gratitude and appreciation. Mm-hmm. And so when we are in, we're in circumstances where we find ourselves comparing, maybe it's to other moms, maybe it's to our kids, their moms and what they're able to do, or it's professionally, how we compare ourselves all the time, right? Yeah. I do that when I find myself when I do it on LinkedIn. And, I'm on LinkedIn a lot for what I do. And I'm like, there's thought leaders and there's this, and they're on the video, and they've got these, just incredibly produced, well put together packages that they put out there. And the first thing for me is like, man, okay, like that's not me. And, and on the other side of it, I receive affirmation and confirmation from the comments like you just made, that maybe my approach is an and also. They're amazing. They put so much talent and really incredible work into putting things out like that.
Yeah.
And also, my approach is to be just the quiet, relatable, grounded presence for someone.
Yep. And
that creates that confidence where I can appreciate it instead of feeling threatened by it. Mm-hmm. I think that's what the key is like, can we get over that hump?
Yeah.
Where we're not threatened by the comparison anymore.
Yes.
Where it's not a threat, it's an addition. Mm-hmm. We can appreciate like a woman with a really beautiful body, right? Yes. Like, I see women in their 50s that I'm like, dang, like, well done.
Yeah.
Like that, I am not there, but I can certainly appreciate the work and the incredible effort that goes into that. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm talking about. My gosh, well done being so present for your kids.
Yeah.
Well done showing up at work and doing things. I get there once in a while.
Yeah.
And that's okay. But it's not a threat.
Yeah.
It's not, I can't let you shine because that steals from my light.
Right.
It's an and also thing.
It's an and also thing.
Yeah.
When you were saying that, there was a quote or I don't know, something on Facebook. And I was like, that's me right there. Is I will never be that. And I'm okay with that because food calls to me the way the ocean calls to Moana. And that just, that, you know, I'm okay with that. I love food. But I also wanted to add, so when we do cold plunges, which we still do, and Reconnect, thank you for being an amazing sponsor. We love you. I send everyone to you. But when I do a cold plunge, they ask afterwards if you want water or tea. And I always say I want tea. And they have a kind there that's like a sweet, spicy kind of chai almost. Mm-hmm. But on the little tags, it has a quote or a saying or a motivation or anything on the tea. And I always take that as kind of the universe speaking into me what I need to hear at that moment. And funny enough, it usually does. But one of them, it's taped on my car right now. And it was in a moment where I was comparing myself to someone very close in my life. And I was having a really hard time with it. And it said, stop hating yourself for everything you're not and start loving yourself for everything you are. And I feel that just hit home for everything, right? The things that other people are good at, the strengths, all of those things I can appreciate and be grateful that they're in my life. And also, I have those things too. Mm-hmm. It's my focus. It's my lens, right? I can say, I'm actually really good at pouring into people. I am really good at sitting here and creating a safe space for you to be whatever vulnerable, open, raw person that you don't get to show anyone else. Without judgment, without fear, without retribution, without rejection, without anything, right? It's this safe space, and I can do that. Yeah. And not everybody can. So your gifts are beautiful, and also my gifts are beautiful, and I should stop hating myself for all the things that don't come naturally, like grounding, and loving myself for the gifts that I have. And that's where my focus comes from.
I love that. And also I think what's required too is in order to be able to do that, you have to take an inventory.
Yes.
You really have to sit and think about, what do I have? Mm-hmm. What gifts do I have? And going through that mental exercise about what feedback have I been given. Usually that's where you'll hear most of it.
Yes.
Right? We're not so good at recognizing our own gifts, but we'll often hear that feedback from other people.
Yeah.
And what themes have kept coming forward, or appreciation that you keep getting in certain areas of your life. Mm-hmm. That's a good place to start.
Yeah.
Is, when have I been told? Since I was a little kid, my mom used to joke with me. She's like, I think you have like a sticker on your head that it just says, spill it. Like, it's always been there. And for a period of my life, I felt like that was a little bit of a curse, in a way, because it was, if you're not careful, you can become a little bit of a dumping ground for people. You don't know quite what to do with everything that they're telling you, yet you want to fix things for people. Mm-hmm. And as I've gotten older, I've honed a skill set and a craft where now I know what and how to approach that spill it that tends to happen. And it's a badge of honor that I get to wear. But again, taking that feedback that I've been given and recognizing it, like, that is something, I see this in this other person over here, and that is a beautiful strength. I don't happen to have that. Mm-hmm. But I do have this.
Yeah.
And this makes me unique and special.
Yeah.
I think that inventory is so valuable to go through.
I think that there's a second part to that inventory, and those are the pre-recordings that we keep hearing in our minds.
Yeah.
And recently I was with a friend, and he called me aggressively caring, which I'd like to amend to fiercely caring, because aggressive sounds aggressive.
Aggressive.
But we were talking and he goes, do you know what you are? Is you're the kid at the ocean when the dad is like, you can't save every starfish. And the kid goes, but I can save this one. And I remember my mom, I love you, Mom. I remember my mom saying at one point that I can't save the world. And that's a recording that I feel I've listened to and listened to and listened to until I realized that's not the right recording. And that's not me. I am the person that is going to throw every starfish back in the ocean that I possibly can, because that is who I am. And so, as you were saying, taking that acknowledgement, that inventory of our strengths, we should also inventory the lies that have been imprinted on us, that we keep listening to. You know, the ones that do say comparison is rejection. She's pretty, therefore I am not. She is good, therefore I am not. Those are lies that have been perpetrated and re-recorded and put on us that we need to figure out how to get rid of and let go.
And I think also is when we get into that comparison, we take the inventory, we're highly aware of our insecurities and the things that, you know, we might assign or believe about ourselves that have been handed to us. How we approach comparison and what we do with it is very reflective of how we feel about ourselves, right? So we enter into that comparison, which again, it's really not going to go anywhere. We can notice and appreciate and all those things, but there it is, that comparison. Do we judge, and are we threatened by that comparison? And so therefore we kind of take that stance of minimizing that person to make ourselves larger, because then that's a threat. Or is it, and also, and an appreciation and lifting both people up, which that is magical. When you can get into that space where you're not threatened by the people around you. You're not threatened by other people's strengths, beauty, talents, gifts, all of these things that are so good for us to go out and not only acknowledge. I'm just going to say this, it's a little side point, but don't do it silently either. Tell them. Support.
Shout it from the rooftops.
Like the pot, like the parable in the beginning. They need to hear it. People need to hear those words of appreciation, acknowledgement, noticing. Just a simple, I notice how much care that you take with dropping your son off at school. You know, that's so inspiring to me. The fact that you turn around for that one last hug, or, you know, just things that we notice. It's important to tell people that positive shift. I think that we can make actually a really big difference in this, you know, kind of air of comparison that we live. We can really start to turn things around, just like that one person at a time, just, you know, with one starfish at a time. Acknowledge the beauty in what you see in them. It's powerful.
I want to go back and say about what you were just talking about, that cognitive dissonance that comes up, right? So we see someone beautiful and we either say, I'm not that beautiful, or we say, oh, well, they're not a kind person, right? We have to alleviate the stress that we are feeling because one of these things has to be offset. There's only a small piece of the pie for us. Instead of, as you said, saying, she's beautiful. And also, so am I. And also, I'm going to let her know, you are beautiful. I see you. You are killing it in this world. And that doesn't take away from me or my power, my capabilities, my beauty. We both can be all of these things. And I think that's the fundamental shift for comparison, is saying those things. Because as you said, it's automatic. It's going to come up, right? So what do we do with it?
What do you do? What do you do with that? And I think that's a really valuable piece to talk to, you know, younger kids about. And Because especially in those social structures through middle school, high school, and girl, that was awful. Like middle school was awful. But it's a constant place of comparison and judgment and fitting in. And there's nothing more dangerous than being different, especially in middle school, right? It's a little bit more appreciated in high school, but in middle school, conformity that's how you survive.
Yeah.
So recognizing that there is so much strength in acknowledging and building people up through after the comparison. They're going to do it. I still do it. You still do it.
Yes.
It's okay. Let's just be real. What do we do with it? And how do we build that immediate muscle to go and tell them that and that positive acknowledgement? How do you say that to someone? Right? I think getting past that would be weird, or just that insecurity. Get in the habit of paying compliments. Small, simple statements. You're not like trying to, make this huge shift for someone where it might be awkward and you don't know how to just make a very simple statement about what you notice about them.
Yeah.
And the more granular it is, the more impact it has.
True. The more not insightful but specific that it is, the more impactful that it is. People being seen for those small little moments that we think nobody sees our strength, right?
Yeah.
But
how many times have you been called, "You're so pretty," and something like that will wash off your back? You're like, "Oh, thank you." But for someone to say, "I love, Ashley, your eyelashes," like every time I see your eyes and your eyelash, like you just have this beautiful look through your eyes, and the way it just frames your face, like those simple things, as silly as it's true, like they stick with us.
I do.
And so it's like, okay, move past this comparison thing, right? We're comparing what we see to how other people feel. Are we going to bridge that? No, we're not. We're going to keep doing it. But what do we do on the other side of it? Can we change how people feel and create a positive impact there? I
love what you said so much, and it brought up something. And again, Mom, I'm sorry if you're watching this episode, but I think it takes 5, don't come after me, but I think it takes 5 positives to offset 1 negative, right? Yep. And just now when you talked about my eyelashes, my mom once told me that my lips were too big, that hers were measured and they were perfect because she had also done like modeling, right? And so like lipstick, there's a specific, I don't know, anyway, but mine are too big. And I have carried that with me. But I love how you said my eyelashes, because I feel like what we're doing when we're going out and we're giving these compliments is we're offsetting the scale.
Yeah.
Is we're putting in more of those positive things to offset the negative things that we often remember because we have the negativity bias. We are putting in seeds and positive things to offset that weight. And I think that's such a beautiful thing. So get out there and compliment everybody on everything, because that's throwing starfish back in the ocean. That's making a true difference for people. That's changing the world.
Right. Absolutely. We look at it like, I often talk about making deposits in a bank account with people. That's what relationships are like. For me as a coach, I have to be very careful, because my relationship with a client, I have to keep making deposits, because when I need to make a withdrawal, and I do, it's usually pretty significant and there's some pain involved. There has to be currency in that bank account so that the transaction can happen.
Yeah.
And people are the same way. It doesn't cost us anything to make those small deposits. And I think it actually helps us get past the trap of comparison and the threat of the success, the beauty, all the things that we chase in life. The threat of not being that right now is sometimes very overwhelming. But I think if we keep making those deposits and it becomes a currency for us like that, that habit, it will really, really change us.
Yep.
And the people around us.
I think that can go both ways too. I think that we can say, if we are comparing ourselves to somebody else, what is it costing us?
Yeah.
What is it costing us to say, you're beautiful and I'm not.
Yeah.
Because that's a heavy toll on not only myself, but also children rarely listen to what we say, but they will always do what we do. And how they treat themselves is how we treat ourselves. And if comparison is just too hefty a price to pay, which I think it is, let's go the other way. Let's make deposits in our own bank account. Let's make deposits in everyone's bank account. Let's throw those starfish back.
Yeah, one at a time. One at a time. I love that.
Yeah.
I really love it. I think a really important question to ask, and maybe this is just a question that we pose to the listeners, and as we're thinking about comparison, and we think about what we do with it, what are we trying to get from that comparison? Why are we getting into that game? Especially if it's usually a negative one for most of us, unless we've kind of evolved and started making those deposits and it's become a positive experience. But if it is really, it's negative, what are you getting out of it? What are you chasing? Are you looking for belonging? Are you looking for security, acceptance?
Yeah.
Are you looking for, the world to turn around and tell you you're beautiful? Or you're successful, you're driving the right kind of car, you have enough bedrooms in your house, you live in the right zip code. Like what is that thing? Be honest. What is it? And I must say, like on social media and stuff, like sometimes I'll just, you just get in there, like you're flipping through reels and stuff. And you're just like, I usually really love the funny ones.
Me too.
But I always get caught up on some of those ads, like, there's a brand I can't even, it comes to mind, but it's like dressed like an executive, like the woman, like all these type of, it's really cute freaking stuff too.
Yeah.
But immediately I can feel myself shift into that. So what am I chasing?
Yeah.
Am I chasing acceptance to be able to wear that outfit so that I am seen a certain way? Like I need to understand what I'm chasing.
Yeah.
I need to understand what I'm thinking when I judge this other person.
Yeah.
What is it saying about me? Because I'm comparing against them.
And I think, is it an opportunity for us to say, and also, is this an opportunity for us both to be, right? Or are we conditioned to think that because you are, I'm less than?
Yeah.
Making sure that comparison is a lens and we choose the focus. Is this recognition or is this rejection? So as we close out, I want to say one more thing. Leave with this message. You are already enough, not because you've proven it, but because you are. And that's the kind of truth that doesn't ask permission to shine.
I love that.
We'll see you next time on the next episode. Thank you for joining. We hope today's episode has ignited a pivotal spark in you and uncovered a fresh perspective that reminds you hold the power to transform every storm into your strength. Share this journey with your tribe and re-listen to uncover hidden gems. Until next time, keep building your resilience. And when you face the storm, don't just weather it, become it.